mermaids, and welcome to the Dive Like a Girl podcast, where a couple times a month we talk all things scuba diving with women from all across the world. I'm your host, Rachel, and I'm the founder of Midwest Mermaids and the Dive Like a Girl podcast. And every single month we'll have a couple of episodes talking to people from all over the world about dive topics like cave diving and conservation and just the fun stuff too. Let's dive in. Hi, and welcome to our fourth episode of Dive Like a Girl. I'm Rachel, your host and the founder of Midwest Mermaids. And today we are going to talk with some of my friends from the adaptive diving world. And so we're going to talk about adaptive diving. We're going to look at it from two different points of view, from the instructors and the volunteers helping, and then from one of our adaptive divers who can give us a real world view of what that looks like, and see if we can encourage more people to get certified to dive or volunteer with some of these organizations and go from there. Most of you probably know that I am a Scubility Instructor with LifeWaters. I am a fairly new instructor, so all of this is very new to me. I've been with LifeWaters for probably about 3 years, started as a dive buddy, and then worked my way up to instructor and then Scubility Instructor. And so I've been through a few of the Discover Scuba open water certifications. I've been a buddy diving in Jupiter, Florida, or the Georgia Aquarium. And so I've gotten this real world taste of being able to step in and help someone to be able to complete these dives. But, I have a very limited view of this. And so I wanted to talk to a couple of people who have much bigger views of that. So I have with me today Hellen. Hellen is a course director, Scubility instructor, all things. She has been doing this for quite some time and has a ton of expertise on adaptive diving. And then I have my friend Jen, who is an adaptive diver. And Jen has been diving for a long time as well, but I'll let them introduce themselves. So Hellen, how about you go first?
My name is Hellen Armstrong. I'm from the UK, but I've been in the US probably about 9 years now. And as Rachel said, I'm an instructor. I also teach adaptive diving, and I've been involved with several different groups, both in the UK and here. I've just come back from an adaptive dive trip in Bonaire with Dive Pirates and an adaptive trip in Cozumel with LifeWaters. So I have some very recent memories to share with you, if asked.
All right. Well, how about you, Jen?
Hi, my name is Jen Chaillie. I have been adaptive diving about 12 years. I've been injured. I was injured about 15 years ago as a high-level spinal cord injury. So I'm a C6, C7 quadriplegic. And I got connected with LifeWaters. And I've done about, I think, six different adaptive trips, all on different locations.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining me today. I really just kind of wanted to take a look at, how the adaptive diving process works. From our point of view as instructors, it is very much the same as an open water certification. There's just certain modifications that we have to make to do that. And I've done all of my training through SDI, through their Scubility program. So I really only know one way of training adaptive diving. I'm sure that there are other ways out there. But as far as the SDI program, I know having that DB1, DB2, DB3 rating is going to tell us how many certified buddies that diver needs. And we base that on whether or not the diver can save themselves, whether or not the diver can save their buddy, and some of those kind of things. So trying to make sure that every diver out there feels safe with us. And I'm still amazed because, Jen, I mean, when you go out there and you're getting ready to jump off this boat, then like the trust that you have in us, that's big. That's really big because you have to have a lot of trust in your dive buddies to feel safe and content that we're going to get you back to the boat and everything. So I just think that is amazing. So I know you've been doing this for about 12 years, so it's been a little while, but I mean, what does that feel like to you?
I mean, it's interesting because I think every experience with different dive buddies is new and different, right? Because I'm a DB2, so I have two dive buddies in the water with me when I scuba dive. But it's always a very much an open experimental process. I think the first day or two to get to know your buddy, what your needs are. I mean, I can only verbally kind of describe kind of what I need, but when I'm in the water, it's a lot different because my buddies have to kind of figure out how they're doing, what I'm saying normally works. And sometimes I'm still adapting my scuba diving of like how to best, come down and come up just with off of things that I know my body, struggles with. I'm a very floaty person and and what that looks like. So I think it's just really being open minded and having a kind of a good sense of humor of trying to figure out how to best work with your two dive buddies. I've dove in. I've connected with some of the ones that I've gotten to dive with several times, so it's easier, diving multiple trips with people that have already know you very well. But when you get a new person, I think it's just it's awesome, and I always appreciate how kind people are and open to asking all the questions to really want to. They really, show the compassion to make sure that they're doing everything they can to help you feel safe. When you're going down.
And when I met you last year in Jupiter, that was probably my third adaptive diving trip. And so every single time it's new and it's different for us too. And especially
Sure.
with me being a little bit on the newer side, is every time I get new diver, there's different things to think about. And there's different things that they're gonna like or dislike, or what works for them and what doesn't. And so you were so gracious and the whole time, just letting me feel my way through, because it is, especially the first couple of dives or the first couple of days, you kind of figure things out
Hmm.
along the way. And then, and sometimes, you try something and it doesn't work. I just appreciate you so much. And I know, Helen, you have probably dealt with every anxiety on the planet in trying to either certify buddies, certify instructors, certified divers, all of the things. I bet you have run into about all of it.
Yeah, I think, and I agree. I always have a lot of respect for people who have adaptive needs when they want to learn to dive because of the trust and the reliance on other people. So that's for me. I'm always like, I love you, but you're mental. Like, I don't know if I could do that. Did you dive before, Jen? Or did you
I did
learn to
not.
dive
No,
following your accident?
I did. Yeah. So.
That's amazing to me. I'm also, I think it's brilliant that, you've had a life changing experience, but still willing to try something new, which a lot of able bodied people are frightened from doing.
Right.
Not everybody wants to scuba dive. It's only for a certain minority of us crazy people. I like to do it. And so, for people to want to do that, I'm amazed. And because of that, I always really want to help. But the way I look at it when I'm teaching is I want to know what people can do for themselves. And everybody is an
Hmm.
individual. You could have had the same incident or accident or diagnosis as somebody else, but how you'll deal with it, how your body reacts to it will be different. So when I'm
Hmm.
teaching people, when I'm working with people, it's like, okay, so what can you do? And I think I always say, like, as buddies and instructors, sometimes we try too hard. And I think it's nice to be able to sort of have the conversation. How much can you do for yourself? How can you transfer? Where do you need help? Just let me know when you need that help. Because I always want people to feel as independent as possible
Mm.
diving. And then the buddies and instructors step in when needed. So there's a fine line between feeling safe, but feeling like somebody's diving for you. And I don't think that is the way it should be. And every new diver goes through the stage of wanting to work on their buoyancy,
Hmm.
whether you're adaptive or not. It's the same for all of us. We wear a different
Right.
wetsuit. We get in your UBC. It's a bit saltier. We haven't dived for a while. We lost a bit of weight. We put a bit of weight on, It changes for everybody. And I don't always think that because there's so much focus on the adaptive divers when we do these trips, it's just a normal thing to go through. Like
Hmm.
buoyancy is what everybody's always thinking about, even if you're a seasoned diver and been diving for a long time. And that's how we work on our skills. And the other thing I kind of always try and put across to new buddies is when a new adaptive diver learns to dive, I've worked with people that needed to be helped in the descent and ascent and even being powered through the water. And a
Hmm.
couple of years later, a couple of trips later, they can write themselves on the surface. They can descend by themselves. They literally only need you if there's an issue because
Right.
they're building on their skills as well. It's just in the same way, but in a different model, if you like. So, and I have people I've dived with who are GB2s that take photographs. They're so calm. They got their web gloves on. Take a picture. Move around. Take a picture. Their buddies are literally pointing out things to take pictures of because they've done 100 dives, say, or something. And so they're like anybody else. They're comfortable, they know what they're doing, they're familiar with their equipment, and they know what they need from their buddies, and they know what they can do themselves. And that's what I like to see, not just people learning, but the progress. And then when you see how far people come and develop that, that's what amazes when new divers under the water, when they see adaptive divers who've been diving a few years, it blows their mind. Because once you're in the water, you've got so much more movement generally that it's good to encourage that.
And Jen is kind of one of those divers that she needs help descending, and then you kind of get the buoyancy going, and she just goes to town, and
Yep.
she's just swimming through, and all you got to do is keep up. And then if there's a shark coming, Jen is going to go straight for the shark. And she was saying that she was afraid that I was going to pull her back. I'm like, no, but I'm going to get behind you.
Only if
Make
you
sure.
can catch her. Yeah.
But right, exactly. I'm like, I got to keep up with Jen because she's going to chase the shark down. But and that what you were saying about letting them do and letting them be independent. I know I've run into this before because I ask every seasoned diver, I ask them, what do you want help with, and what do you not want help with? Because I want to help you where you need help, and after that, I want to stay out of your way.
Mhm.
And I remember that I was working with a diver at one point in time, and somebody else was like, you need to help him with that. And I'm like, no, I don't. Because I asked him, do you want me? And I'm going to let him try it. And if he can't do it and he does need help, he knows he can ask me if he wants to try to do that. And it was literally putting some stuff together.
Yeah.
I'm going to let him do that. I'm going to let him try that. I'm not going to step in and just do every single thing for him because, somebody was like, well, he's got this condition. You need to do that for him. And I was like, well, no,
Mm-mm.
I
Nope.
don't. He's in control of his own course here. I'm going to, help him where needed. And I love that we're able to do that because, people want to feel independent. People want to
Oh,
do
yeah.
their own things. And I've seen that too, where somebody's just driving somebody through the water. Well, if that's what they need and what they want, then that's great. And then if not, let them do. You wouldn't want anybody controlling your dive or
Right.
controlling the things that you do. But Jen is more than just a diver. She is an athlete too. So like she's totally badass. Is it rugby that you play?
Wheelchair rugby. Yeah,
Oh,
wheelchair
my
rugby.
word.
I'm like, nope, not for me. She is tough as nails.
Good for you. I love rugby. I love watching it.
But I went, even as a dive buddy and then becoming an instructor, I had all kinds of my own confidence issues, like, okay, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to do this the right way? Am I going to upset this person or that kind of stuff? And so as I kind of started diving with more people and getting more experience and getting more practice, it became much more just like any other diving skill that any other person does. The more that you do it, the better you get at it, and
Mhm.
the less stressful it is and the easier it is to manage. So now where my confidence was pretty low when I was first starting to become a dive buddy, then I became a primary and I dove more and more. Well, now it's kind of one of those situations where I can talk to somebody and I have a pretty good idea of what they need or what they think they need, but I'm also ready for all of the things that they might tell me, oh, I don't need help with that. I know one of my dive buddies one time, I was like, okay, do you run the inflator or does your buddy run the inflator? Like, you gonna run the inflator? And 3 times I was told, nope, I do that. And then at the very end, before we're jumping in, she's like, oh, my buddy normally does that. And I was like, I knew it. But you're just kind of ready for anything. But you just like any other diving skill, you start to know what to expect or what to anticipate, and you just watch for those things. But yeah, it's been an incredible experience for me as well. So I just love that these programs exist. And
Well,
so you said that you've been on 6 or so trips. Where all have you been, Jen?
So I've done Cozumel 3 times. I did Honduras or Roatan. I did Jupiter. Okay, and then Cayman will be my next one. So this will be my 6th.
so you're going to
Perfect.
Cayman Brac?
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to Cayman on the week 2 weeks into July.
Nice. That's where I was there, and that's how I got involved in adaptive diving in this country, because I was a
Oh,
boat
was it?
captain. Yeah, I was a boat captain down there, and there were different groups would come down there, Eels on Wheels, dive pirates, and things like that. And you want to keep people safe and know more about how to really the logistics, getting people. I can get anybody in the
Hmm.
water, but getting them out
Right.
safely is another kettle of fish, isn't it? So I
Right.
was keen to make sure that my boat was safe. So that's when I did more. I'd done stuff to help people, an adaptive diver in the UK, and done something around that. But it was the first time I'd been on a boat, managing a boat as a captain, and then
With it.
like 20 odd people on there. So through that, I was a PADI instructor, and then I did the SSI because it was the classified. And one of the people down there, one of the groups down there helped me cross over. And then subsequently, I did RAID because I was doing some work. And then when I came to Jupiter, I did SDI, and that's when I got my Scubility. And more recently, I got HSA instructor because I had to work with an adaptive diver who was referred from a northern state, and they couldn't finish their dives off because it was only 48 in the lake. And we feel that's
Oh,
a tad,
yeah, a little
that's
cold.
Fahrenheit, not my
Yeah.
temperature scale, but Fahrenheit. It's a tad chilly to finish your open water, I feel. So I did that so I could finish the open water checkout dives in Bonaire. So yeah, but I'm very familiar with Cayman-Brac. It's a
Yeah,
great
I'm very
setup.
excited. Yeah, I'm very excited and it's actually a smaller group, so I got more confident over like I did LifeWaters 3 times straight
Hmm.
because they're so well adapted and they know what they do. They're so in sync with helping and the training, obviously, of course, that they do. And then it kind of got smaller. We developed kind of the group that the people I dive with and my dive buddies. We started kind of doing our own trips. So this is our own, not associated with
That's
the group.
awesome.
With
Yeah.
our adaptive divers that I've met on these trips, and then we've a couple who goes all the time to Cayman are very familiar with the Cayman
Hmm.
staff that are very adaptive as well. So,
Yeah, they've done a lot of work with the different groups. So the staff are kind of trained in,
mhm,
keeping people safe, getting people out the water. They've got the various different harnesses and slings and stuff, and they're familiar with that. So that's a great place to go as a
right,
group. And the hotel itself was rebuilt after a hurricane. And when they rebuilt it, because they already had adaptive divers, they rebuilt it to be accessible.
that's
So
what I've
you can
heard.
get
Yeah,
from your room to the bar, importantly, to breakfast, to the dive center, and down to the boat without any assistance.
that's great. Yeah, no, I have heard that it's very accessible. I also heard the Bonaire was very accessible. Like, so I've
Hmm.
only gone to spots where kind of people have guided us to say we've been there. It's fairly semi accessible, or really really good accessibility.
Yeah, no, you'll have a lot of freedom there, and there's a nice pool and stuff as well, and yeah, and it's a small island, and I think what I get from there is because it's quite a few flights to get there. That the
Hmm.
fact that you're going in a wheelchair to get there, the locals and the people at the hotel are like, wow, they made all the effort to come here. They're excited to have you there.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, you'll have fun. Yeah, because they realize it's a little bit off the beaten track. It's like one extra
It
flight
is.
from the main
It
island,
is. Yeah. Yeah. But
and they
in one of the
appreciate it.
little planes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and they appreciate it. They've always worked very well with the groups that I've been involved with that went down there. So yeah, you'll be good. You'll have fun.
That's
Yeah. I'm excited.
fantastic. The Caymans are definitely on my list. I haven't been to Roatan either, so that's definitely on my list as well. The list is long though, right? Like there's
It's
just a
great.
million
It's great.
places.
It's getting longer though, isn't it? Because there are
It
more
is.
places becoming more aware that they need to be adaptive
Yes.
friendly. It's not going to be
Yeah.
EDA or whatever, but they're adaptive friendly. And I think every time I am at DEMA, there's more resorts talking to about making themselves more adaptive. I've been asked to go and assess places to give feedback on places like that because I think, they realize that you're missing a trick if you don't make things adaptive. And if there's a group of 20 or 50 and there's an
Hmm.
adaptive diver or two in there, they're going to go somewhere else. And you
Right.
lose that big, you're not just losing two divers, you're losing all the friends and volunteers and buddies that would have gone on that trip. They'll just go somewhere else that is accessible. So,
I'm glad to hear.
yeah,
Yeah, some of those groups are pretty big
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
that
And I
travel.
I had a guy from Fiji contact me to talk about what to do about making their island more accessible. And when I was in Isla Mujeres, which is off of Cancun, the tourist industry came and spoke to us. I mean, they need to go along. There needs to be a lot more. I mean, there's just like just having enough doorways wide enough and ramps and
Hmm.
not like pavements that end up like to stop or sidewalks, sorry, as you call them, sidewalks or, you know, go into walls or there's steps halfway along and things like that, or a tree planted in the middle of the sidewalk, things like that.
Right.
Right.
There's a lot of sort of basic stuff there, but it's refreshing to know that more people are thinking, well, okay, we need to think about making our
Yeah.
places, our towns, our cities, our dive resorts more accessible. I think that's very good
That's
to hear.
great to hear. Because initially when I started, I would say 12 years ago, was much more limited. It was kind of like
Oh
Bon
yeah.
Air and Cozumel at that point had been with LifeWaters at least they'd
Hmm.
worked kind of those two locations very frequently, and now it's slowly I'm hearing more spots, which is really what I want to do is I want to go new places.
And why wouldn't you, as a diver,
Right.
go and try different
Exactly. Yeah.
places?
So
Right.
I'm excited to hear that there's even more coming because I have found when I went to Roatan, like not everything was accessible, but they tried so hard. They were so
Hmm.
nice. They were so open to like trying and being like, we're so sorry. Like they were just great. So I found that they took our feedback. They were just so nice about trying to make it as best they could with the rooms that were, steps and like they were really great.
There's a place in Curacao that I know we've got some feedback on, and I went to Grenada with some friends, and I went and checked out Aquanauts diving there in the True Blue Hotel, and they'd actually had somebody visiting, and he made all the staff go around the hotel in a wheelchair. He was in a wheelchair himself, his spare one. He
That's
made them go
awesome.
around because he said, "You're trying, but some of the handles, they're not in the right place," and things like that. So she said,
Sure.
he made us every time we made some new updates because it's a family-run hotel. He would make us go around in the wheelchair to double check. I thought that's a great way of
That's great. Yeah.
doing it because he would be able to, he could feed back, but he's like, I want you to see what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? I want
Hmm.
you to experience it. I'm not just trying to be picky. It's
Hmm.
there's some things here which are basically you could change quite easily and would make lives a lot easier for people who are in a wheelchair. So it's nice to know
Right.
that there's initiatives going on in different places, I have to say. So
Yeah.
Right. And I've only been diving for 7 or 8 years. So I am actually newer to diving than both of you guys. But but every time I go to DEMA, every time I look around, LifeWaters was the first program that I heard of, and then I found out they were right here in St. Louis, and so I was like, oh, that's great. But every time I go to DEMA or every time I'm looking at stuff online, I see more and more organizations that are offering these kind of programs, more dive shops, more dive boats that are, advertising these kinds of services, more and more dive resorts. And so, I mean, what dive resort would not want to have a group of 50 to 80 people show up? Because I mean, most shop trips
exactly, yeah.
are like, I don't
20.
know,
Yeah.
20, right? I mean, that's what I've seen from dive shop trips. I mean, 15, 20, 25, maybe, but if you could handle even between a couple of resorts that are right towards the same dive shop, if you could have that kind of group show up, that'd be amazing, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it really is quite beneficial for them to make the changes necessary. And some of these smaller islands, maybe they're never going to be able to, come up to ADA standards or, all of the things, but there is a way in most
Hmm.
places, there is a way. And people are looking for that and
Mhm.
trying to make it more accessible, which is it's just huge.
Yeah, I love it when people locally try and make it work because they really want to see new visitors, and they want to make people feel welcome. I think as well, because
Hmm.
if you get somewhere and then I would think if you have to ask for help just to get through, it doesn't make it a very nice experience, you know,
Right.
because you want to be as independent as you can. So if you have to always ask for help, it's not a very good experience. So
Right.
I think they want to make people welcome. So well, I'll look forward to hearing how you enjoyed the Brack. So I
And
lived there for 3.5 years, so I'm a little bit biased. So
you have been everywhere. I'm just so
I don't know
jealous.
about that. Like
But
a moving target, maybe.
I think at the heart of it, at the heart of most people want to help other people or, they
Oh
want to
yeah,
make
I
things
think so.
easier for other people. And the dive community is generally very welcoming. And the dive community, usually if you're, getting on a dive boat, people are asking, can I help you with that? Or I mean, just in general to other divers, can I help you set that up? Can I help you with that? Oh, hey, I noticed something that isn't quite right. And sometimes, they're right. And sometimes, sometimes they might not be,
No, might
but
not be quite
but
so
people
right. Yeah.
but in general, divers are generally just very helpful to
Hmm.
other divers, even in typical circumstances. So I feel like there are just so many divers out there that would probably love to get involved and love to help, and they maybe just don't know where to start or don't know where to go. And so they may not know that there are all these different organizations that they can work with, and there are these international trips that they can go on and those kind of things. I mean, I know that Helen probably knows many more than I do, but I know LifeWaters, Dive Pirates, Scuba for Good. I don't know. I know that there's just
Yeah.
a ton of them out there, so
Scuba
there are
divers.
opportunities, and
Yeah.
and I feel like I've always went back to this saying that I heard somewhere, and I should probably attribute it to someone, but I've heard this that no one can help everyone, but everyone can help someone. And
Hmm.
so, if scuba diving is your thing and you want to give back and help, looking into something like this can be a great way to do that.
And coming from the side of being the reciprocating one, we really do appreciate people because really you guys give up your trip to help us, right? You're not there on your own trip to enjoy being down there and diving. Like your focus is usually always on your diver, to some degree, even if it's a diver that's very familiar, you're there kind of working and volunteering all your time and your body and like all the stuff that it takes to kind of lug other people's stuff and their help with everything. So coming from the side of like being the one that has to accept all the help, like yeah, I really appreciate people because I recognize that really the dives aren't for them. They're really diving to make our experience the best it can be, and that's a lot to give a lot of time and money to go somewhere and just dedicate all your time to allow somebody else to really just fully enjoy that experience.
I think it gives divers a fresh perspective on what they are appreciating. And I swear, I get more out of helping than you get more out of diving.
That could be,
I
yeah,
think
that's
I
fair.
do. I think we do. And so, yeah, it's good that but I think if you help, that she's an instructor, if you can see somebody improving their skills, enjoying talking about the little drum they just saw or, octopus that just came out in front of them and they're just enjoying the dive alongside anybody else. That's when I get a lot of enjoyment from listening to that, because why shouldn't everybody get to enjoy what I want to enjoy? So
Right.
that's how
Yeah.
I look at it.
I agree. I'm the same way. I'm so excited about diving. And so then I go around to all my friends and I talk about diving, and they are not near as excited as I am. But I can talk to another diver who's new and they're
Oh,
super excited. And it's amazing. Right. And so for me personally, I don't know that I would care if I ever saw another green moray eel. Like, I really just don't care. I've seen so many green moray eels. But when I see somebody else who's excited and they're like, "Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, did you see that moray?" And I'm like, "Yes, I know," because that person's excited and I got to experience their joy, right? And so
Right.
whether it's, in Jupiter out in the ocean or if it's Georgia Aquarium, with a whale shark or whatever. I mean, just being able to be part of someone else having that much enjoyment is just such a reward in itself to
I
me.
think so. I do.
And I'm sure
I
like
agree.
every buddy you guys help is a little bit different. And, especially new buddies, right? They take a lot of maybe suggestions from you guys of like, cause I know when I was new, I just did what they told me because they were like, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know. Like, well, I guess we're going to find out. Like I knew through the testing, right? When we did the pool and the lake
Mm.
and stuff, but I couldn't out here. We couldn't really do the lake because it was so dangerous. There was so much trees and debris. I couldn't really dive
Oh,
around.
yeah, yeah.
So when I first got in, I was just kind of like I soaked up, you give me suggestions and then I'll be able to tell you. And then by the time I got to our trip, Rachel, I could at least tell you kind of what I knew worked and didn't. I know where I go. Like I know I shoot up, like all of a sudden just watch for me because I might start going, and I know where the areas I struggle, but I'm still learning and still take suggestions on somebody that comes back from a different dive trip and they're like, oh, somebody else kind of is a floaty person too. And what we did is I've had different techniques with my feet and like ties and stuff. So I'm still kind of learning. My buddy from my new trip has a really great idea. She's dove in with me in Cozumel several times and she's like, I have a great idea for your feet because I know you like to keep your boots because I get cold.
Yeah.
So if I give up my
It's
boots, like it, so it's always a
it's good
thing.
to
So
keep your
she's like, I
boots
have
to
this
protect your
idea.
feet as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's always it's a give and take from both parties of understanding. I might not know, but I appreciate. I think people who do adaptive stuff finally realize we like you guys both had already said we want to do everything we can. Like I don't want you to do everything. Like I'll tell you what I need help. I've met most people with injuries. We're very verbal about what we need help with. If we're not asking for help, please don't help us. Please don't start pushing me. Please don't say, oh, your arms must be tired. That's like walking somebody's steps for them. Like just, I promise you, most of us will ask for help. We're not just going to sit there and not do something. We want to try. And then if
Hmm.
not, we are pretty comfortable with saying, oh, okay, I need help. So I really like being a part of adaptive communities because it's like the one place I don't have to explain, like, keep your hands off my chair. Stop, don't just start, I don't have to kind of go through the steps of like, stop doing things for me if I don't ask you. So
That's good.
I
That's
think
good
that's
to know.
important to
So
ask.
so I always relate that to people I'm training, like buddies, and it's good to hear that because I can reiterate and say, look, you could have really upset somebody.
Yeah.
They want you to respect their space. Yeah.
I love that analogy where you just said, like, if somebody starts pushing your chairs, like, oh, your arms must be tired. That'd be like somebody coming and scooping me up and saying, your legs must be tired.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Let me
Pretty
let me
much.
walk a
Carry
little
you.
while for you.
Like,
Like who would do that, right?
right. I
That
get that
is
all
so
the time.
crazy.
People are like, I just want you to take a break. And I'm like, obviously, Rachel, you met me. I don't like to stop. I move a lot and I'm very active. So you're taking my pushes away from me and I'm going to get annoyed because people who count
I'm
steps, like I can only move my arms, the rest of my butt legs.
yes.
So let me move what I can. And if I'm struggling,
I
I promise I will ask for help.
I think that's a good analogy and
That's awesome.
good for us to
Well,
remember.
thank you both so much. We are going to have to wrap it up for today. But thank you so much for giving us a glimpse into your world of adaptive diving and helping us understand from all different viewpoints so that we can hopefully get more people diving, more people volunteering to help, and, get more people interested in scuba diving in general. So thank you so much for being here and
Thank
for
you.
helping us with this episode. And
No problem.
enjoy your trip, Jen.
Thank
Yes,
you.
enjoy your trip.
Helen, get some rest from your trip since you just got back like yesterday. Have a great day.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you again for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope that you'll go ahead and follow us on social media to our channel so that you can keep up with upcoming episodes. If there's something that you'd like to hear about, let us know and we'll put it on the list. Thank you again for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope that you'll go ahead and follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel so that you can keep up with upcoming episodes. If there's something that you'd like to hear about, let us know and we'll put it on the list. If you're a female scuba diver who's already certified and you live somewhere in the Midwest, go ahead and check out our Facebook community, Midwest Mermaid Scuba. If you're not already certified, go ahead and call your local dive shop and get started today. I promise you will be hooked. Now let's go blow some bubbles.